Porto's Historic Downtown is a UNESCO World Heritage Site celebrated for its medieval streets, Baroque churches, and vibrant riverfront. It blends centuries of history with modern culture, making it one of Europe's most atmospheric urban tours. Since I already covered the Ribeira district in a previous vlog, I will be focusing solely on the Baixa district anchored by Avenida dos Aliados and São Bento Station. From Phoenician traders to medieval bishops, Porto's downtown reflects resilience and renovation. Its streets embody resilience from layers of medieval, Baroque, and modern renovation. Key highlights of Porto's historic downtown include the Clerigos Tower, Igreja do Carmo, Porto Cathedral, Livraria, Lello, São Bento Station, and notable streets such as Rua das Flores. Porto's historic downtown is more than a tourist hub. It's the birthplace of Portugal's identity. For travelers, it offers both living history and a vibrant cultural pulse. In this vlog, I'll be visiting Porto's historic downtown area. It is believed that Porto was founded as Porto'S around 275 BC onwards as a riverside settlement on the Douro that gave Portugal its name. By the 12th century, Porto had fortified walls, a cathedral SE, and a bishopric anchoring its role as a religious and mercantile hub. Porto's merchants were central to Portugal's age of discoveries, financing expeditions and exporting wine and textiles. Downtown Porto is one of Europe's oldest continuously inhabited urban centers, with roots stretching back to Roman times. It evolved from the settlement of Porto'S, the origin of Portugal's name, into a medieval trading hub, a Baroque civic center, and today's UNESCO World Heritage Site. The Baixa district of Porto emerged around the 18th and 19th century as the city's civic and commercial heart, centered on Avenida dos Aliados and Praça da Liberdade. It became the stage for liberal revolt, industrial modernization, and remains today the living room of Porto, blending historic architecture with vibrant urban life. The equestrian statue of Pedro IV, who was the Emperor of Brazil and the King of Portugal, in Praça da Liberdade honors his role in the liberal wars of the 19th century. His heart is famously preserved in Porto's Church of Allpa, symbolizing the city's loyalty to liberalism. The district absorbed Art Deco and modernist architecture, including landmarks like the Café Majestic. São Bento Station, with its famous azulejos tile murals, became a cultural anchor narrating Portugal's history in ceramic art. Baixa became the hub for banks, theaters, cafes, and shops, reflecting Porto's industrial expansion. Streets like Rua de Santa Catarina and Rua de Cedo Vierta grew into bustling commercial arteries. The historic center, including SE and Ribeira, was recognized as a World Heritage Site in 1996 for its layered architecture and cultural resilience. Porto is nicknamed Cidade Invincita, or Undefeated City, for resisting sieges during Portugal's civil wars. The Azuleo murals of São Bento Station narrate Portugal's history, embedding national identity into Portugal's downtown fabric. Downtown Porto is not just a postcard district, it's a living archive of Portugal's resilience and reinvention. From Roman roots to Baroque grandeur and industrial modernity, its streets embody the layered identity of a nation. Baixa is not just Porto's downtown, it's the stage of civic identity where architecture, politics, and commerce converge. Its history reflects Porto's transformation from a medieval riverside city into a modern European capital of resilience. Although the limits of Porto's downtown area are not formally marked out, the center of Porto includes Corderia, Praça de Liberdade, and São Bento Station. The perimeter also includes important streets of Porto such as Rua de Santa Catarina and Rua de Viator. For the majority of people, it is the area of Avenida dos Aliados and its neighboring streets. I would recommend that any visitor to Porto should begin here, at its most famous square, Praça de Liberdade, with the Porto City Council building in the background. This is the square where locals gather on special occasions. From here, you can walk to all the points of interest in the center of Porto. The Corderia area is known as Campo dos Martirias da Pátria. Here you will find beautiful gardens, perfect to sit and rest a bit from your sightseeing walk under century-old trees. It's full of cafes, restaurants, and essential landmarks such as the Livraria, Lello bookstore, and the Clerigos Tower. A bit from São Bento Station, you will find the SE neighborhood, which is one of the oldest and most traditional in Porto. Here you can visit the Porto Cathedral and a surviving section of the medieval city wall. Downtown Porto is not a single district, but a mosaic of interconnected neighborhoods, each with its own identity. Together, they form the historic and cultural core of the city. Key districts in downtown Porto include Baixa, the Civic Center, SE, the Cathedral Quarter, Fita, a creative bohemian district west of Baixa, and Miragaia, a riverside neighborhood west of the Riviera. Baixa is known for neoclassical architecture, banks, cafes, and the City Hall. It's a symbolic living room of Porto where civic life unfolds. SE is the oldest part of the city with medieval streets and remnants of fortified walls. It's the religious and historic heart of Porto. Fita is known for Rua Miguel Bombarda, Porto's contemporary art street with galleries and murals. Mixes tradition with indie renovation. Miragaia has narrow medieval streets, historical houses, and a quieter charm. Historically home to Jewish and immigrant communities. Downtown Porto is a layered urban fabric. Baixa embodies civic modernization. SE preserved medieval resilience. Fita showcases artistic renovation, while Miragaia tells multicultural stories. Some of the most popular streets in downtown Porto include Rua de Santa Catarina, Avenida dos Aliados, Rua das Flores, and Rua Galerias de Paris. Each offers a different slice of the city's identity, from shopping and cafes to nightlife and historical charm. Avenida dos Aliados is the civic heart of Porto, framed by neoclassical and Beaux Arts buildings. Anchored by Praça da Liberdade and Porto City Hall, it's the stage for festivals, protests, and celebrations. Rua das Flores is a historic street near Salbanto Station, revitalized with cafes, artisan shops, and tile facades. Once home to noble families, today it's a lively pedestrian corridor. Rua Galerias de Paris is famous for its nightlife, bars, and music venues, a hub for Porto's younger crowd and visitors seeking vibrant evenings. Rua Miguel Bombarda is Porto's contemporary art district filled with galleries and street art. Hosts regular art block parties showcasing local creativity. Downtown Porto's streets are more than thoroughfares, they are layers of identity, commerce, civic pride, heritage, and nightlife. Historic downtown Porto, especially the SE and Ribeiro district, is the city's emotional, architectural, and cultural core. It's where medieval streets, Baroque churches, riverfront life, and centuries of resilience converge into one of Europe's most atmospheric urban landscapes. Use my link to browse walking tours in Porto. Explore the enchanting city of Porto on this walking tour, perfect for first-time visitors. Dive into 2,000 years of history as you visit the city's iconic landmarks and hidden gems. Led by a passionate guide, this tour provides valuable local insights and recommendations. Use my link to join this one-of-a-kind walking tour in Porto using Viator. Praça da Liberdade is the geographic and symbolic heart of Porto, a grand square that connects the historic medieval core with the modern civic boulevard of Avenida dos Aliados. It has been Porto's political and cultural meeting point since the 18th century. Praça da Liberdade was originally known as Praça Nova, created during Portugal's 18th century expansion. It became the city's political and cultural center, frequently visited by politicians, writers, and artisans. It was the site of major historical events including civil conflicts of the 1820s, the first proclamation of the Portuguese Republic in 1891. In 1866, the first equestrian statue of King Pedro IV was inaugurated at the center of the square. Praça da Liberdade and City Hall is the symbolic heart of Porto's downtown, where city's political, cultural, and architectural identity converges. Today, you will see a wide, elegant square framed by 19th and 20th century architecture, the iconic statue of Pedro IV on horseback, a symbol of Porto's liberal identity, and a seamless transition into Avenida dos Aliados leading towards City Hall. Porto's City Hall is a monumental 20th century civic building that crowns Avenida dos Aliados. It's one of Porto's most recognizable landmarks, with a tall central tower visible across the city. Built after 1916, when the city decided to erect a new municipal building at the top of the newly designed Avenida dos Aliados. Its construction required the demolition of older buildings from the former Praça Nova area. The building anchors the northern end of the avenue, symbolizing Porto's modernization and civic pride. The grand granite facade is of Beaux Arts monumentalist style, a central tower rising above the avenue, often photographed from Praça da Liberdade. It's surrounded by 1920s and 1940s buildings that define the architectural rhythm of Aliados. Praça da Liberdade and City Hall form a single civic axis. Praça da Liberdade is Porto's historic political heart, Avenida dos Aliados is the city's 20th century civic boulevard, while City Hall is the architectural and symbolic crown of the downtown district. Together, they represent Porto's evolution from medieval stronghold to liberal city to modern European center. The Clerigos Church is one of Porto's most important Baroque monuments, designed by Italian architect Niccolo Nossoni, completed in 1750. It forms a unified complex with the famous Clerigos Tower, creating one of the city's most recognizable landmarks. Construction began around 1732 and was completed in 1750, built for the Brotherhood of Clerics. It was designed by Italian architect Niccolo Nossoni, whose works shaped much of northern Portugal's 18th century Baroque architecture. The church and tower together became a defining symbol of Porto, with the tower rising 75 meters above the city. Architectural identity is of pure Baroque style with dramatic curves and ornamentation. The elegant facade is admired for its sculptural detail. The church's interior and exterior reflect Nossoni's signature motifs, garlands, scrolls, and dynamic stonework seen across his Porto works. Inside, you will find a richly decorated Baroque interior, access to the Clerigos Museum, which houses cultural and artistic artifacts related to the Brotherhood and Nossoni's legacy, and connection to the tower, which offers Porto's most famous 360-degree viewpoint. Clerigos Church is more than a religious building. It's a cornerstone of Porto's identity, representing the height of Portuguese Baroque style, the influence of Niccolo Nossoni, the city's architectural and spiritual history, and a unified complex that has become one of Porto's most visited landmarks. Clerigos Tower is Porto's most iconic landmark, a soaring 75-meter Baroque bell tower completed in 1763. Designed by the Italian architect Niccolo Nassano, it dominates the skyline and offers one of the best 360-degree views of the city. The tower is a 75-meter tall granite and marble bell tower attached to the Clerigos Church. Built between 1754 and 1763 as part of the church complex designed by Niccolo Nassani, one of Porto's most influential architects. Considered one of the most important monuments in Porto alongside the Dom Luis I Bridge. The Clerigos Church was built earlier, around 1732 to 1750, for the Brotherhood of the Clerks. The tower was later added as a monumental Baroque statement, becoming a navigational reference point for boats arriving in Porto, similar to the Belém Tower in Lisbon. Since 1763, it has been the city's vertical ex libris, visible from many districts. The architectural identity is of pure Baroque style with dramatic curves, ornamentation, and a slender vertical silhouette. The tower's height and design make it a defining feature of Porto's skyline. You climb the 225 steps to reach the top. There is no elevator, but the panoramic views is worth the effort. The tower is part of a full complex that includes the Clerigos Tower, Clerigos Church, and Clerigos Museum, which houses cultural and artistic artifacts related to the Brotherhood and Nosomi's works. Clerigos Tower is more than a viewpoint. It's a symbol of Porto's resilience, faith, and Baroque grandeur. It anchors the city's historic core and serves as a bridge between Porto's medieval past and the 18th century architectural renovation. Igreja do Carmo is a masterpiece of Porto's Rococo style and is one of the city's most photographed churches. Igreja do Carmo is an 18th century Rococo church located at the intersection of Praça de Carlos Alberto and Rua do Carmo, right beside the Clerigos area. It's part of a unique pair of side-by-side churches, Igreja do Carmo and Igreja dos Carmelitas. It's separated by the famous Casa Escondida, a 1 meter wide hidden house built to keep the two separate orders apart. The Igreja do Carmo was constructed around 1756 and the church was inaugurated in 1768. Designed by José Figueiredo Seixas, a key figure in Portuguese Rococo architecture, built for the Third Order of Our Lady of Mount Carmel, a lay Carmelite brotherhood founded in Porto in 1736, is classified as a national monument as of 2013. Igreja do Carmo is one of Porto's most notable Rococo buildings, both in architecture and interior gilded woodwork. The side facade is covered with massive Giulio tile panel added in 1912, painted by Silvestri, depicting scenes related to the Carmelite order. The interior features ornate altars and religious arts, reflecting centuries of Carmelite devotion. The Casa Escondida is a narrow 1 meter wide house wedged between the Carmel and Carmelitas churches. According to legend, it was built to ensure the two religious communities did not share a wall and to prevent interactions between the monks and nuns. Inhabited until the 1980s, it's now open for visits, revealing centuries of hidden stories. Igreja do Carmo is a perfect example of Porto's layered identity: Rococo artistry, religious history, urban legends, Azzurro storytelling, and civic symbolism in the heart of downtown. It is one of the most photographed facades in the city and a key stop in any exploration of Porto's historic core. Enjoy panoramic views of Porto from the top of the Baroque Torre dos Clerigos and climb the 225 steps of the city's iconic bell tower at your own pace. Marvel at the adjoining church and its intricate facade of seashells and garlands. Experience one of Porto's most iconic attractions at your own pace with an entrance ticket to the Torre dos Clerigos. Step into the magical world of Livraria Lello, one of the most beautiful bookstores in the world. Enjoy a non-guided visit with an option to redeem your ticket for a book. Relish the architectural beauty of Livraria Lello, a neo-Gothic landmark. Marvel at the artistry of the interiors as you ascend the world-famous staircase and experience the legacy of José Saramago through his works and personal items. Use my link to book ahead of your visit. Livraria Lello is one of the most famous and visually stunning bookstores in the world, known for its neo-Manueline facades, dramatic red staircase, stained glass skylight, and deep literary history. It's located on Rua das Carmelitas in downtown Porto. Livraria Lello is a historic bookstore founded in 1881 and later redesigned into its iconic form in 1906. Often described as one of the most beautiful bookstores in the world due to its intricate neo-Gothic and Art Nouveau interior. Famous for its curved central wooden staircase and large stained glass ceiling panel. Built in the neo-Manueline architectural style, a revival of Portugal's 16th century decorative traditions. It's one of Portugal's oldest bookstores, attracts over 1.2 million visitors per year, and its dramatic interiors have long been associated with inspiring the Book of Hogwarts in the Harry Potter series. The bookstore is open from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. daily. It's closed on major holidays. Entry requires a ticket or voucher, which can be used towards the purchase of a book. Rua das Flores is one of downtown's Porto. Rua das Flores is one of downtown Porto's most historic atmospheric streets, a pedestrian corridor linking Salvento Station to the Riviera district, lined with restored manor houses, artisan shops, cafes, and azulejos-covered facades. Today is one of the city's most popular walking routes. The street was laid out in the early 16th century on land owned by the Bishop of Porto, originally home to palatial manor houses belonging to Porto's elite. By the 19th century, it became one of the city's most prestigious commercial streets, especially known for goldsmiths and jewelry shops. The name Rua das Flores came from the flowers and plants once sold there centuries ago. A pedestrianized, beautifully restored street filled with cafes, boutiques, artisan shops, and street musicians. Elegant buildings with wrought iron balconies and tiled facades, many being from the 17th and 19th centuries. It has a lively atmosphere, especially in the summer, with performers and artisans entertaining visitors. A perfect walking route from Salvento Station cuts through the Rua das Flores Street to the Riviera district. The key landmarks along the street are Casa dos Mayas, a historic noble house, Casa dos Sousa y Silva, another aristocratic residence. The street has literary connections. The 16th century playwright Gil Vicente once lived here. The street is considered one of Porto's most famous and charming streets, often highlighted in travel guides and visitor reviews. Bento Station is Porto's most beautiful and historically significant railway station, famous for its monumental Azuleo murals and its role as the city's central downtown hub. Built on the site of the former Benedictine convent of São Bento da Ave Maria, designed by architect José Marquis da Silva and opened to the public in 1916. The station's interior murals were created by master Azuleo artist Jorge Colasso, installed over 11 years and totaling over 20,000 tiles. The station's name and location reflect Porto's monastic past transformed into a civic transportation hub. The Azuleo Covered Festival is considered one of the most beautiful in the world, depicting key moments in Portuguese history, rural scenes and cultural traditions, battles, coronations, and everyday life. The murals combine blue and white historical panels with polychrome friezes, creating a visual narrative of Portugal's identity. São Bento is a major terminal for regional lines, including the Douro Line, Minho Line, Braga, Guimarães, Aveiro. It serves as the downtown station, while Campanha handles long-distance and high-speed trains. São Bento is more than a station. It's a living museum, a gateway to Porto's historic core, and a symbol of the city's artistic and civic identity. Even travelers who don't take a train stop here to experience the Azuleo Hall. Porto's oldest and most important religious monument is the Porto Cathedral, standing at the highest point of the historic center. It's a defining symbol of the city's medieval origins and architectural evolution. Construction began around 1110 under Bishop Hugo. The cathedral reached its main dimension in the 13th century. Over the centuries, it underwent major additions and restorations, resulting in a blend of Romanesque, Gothic, and Baroque styles. It hosted major historical events, including the 1387 royal wedding of King Joel and Philippa of Lancaster, sealing the Anglo-Portuguese alliance. Key features include the main facade with its twin towers and large rose window, the Gothic cloister, one of the most beautiful in northern Portugal, the chapel of St. John the Evangelist containing the tomb of Knight João Gordo, the Episcopal Palace next door, historically the residence of Porto's bishops, and the panoramic views over the Douro River and the Ribeira district. The fortress-like facade, heavy stone, and narrow windows reflect its 12th century origins. The Gothic cloister was added in the 14th century, featuring elegant arches and medieval stonework. Baroque elements were later added with ornate chapels and decorative details, especially in the interior. The layered architecture makes the cathedral a living timeline of Porto's evolution. Porto Cathedral is not just a cathedral, it's the spiritual heart of the city, a symbol of medieval resilience, a UNESCO World Heritage anchor, and a timeline of Portuguese architecture from the 12th to 18th century. It's one of the most important Romanesque monuments in Portugal and a must-see for anyone exploring Porto's historical core. Nestled in the heart of Porto, the Miradouro da Rua das Aldas offers stunning panoramic views that captivate every visitor. This scenic spot is perfect for capturing the essence of Porto from a unique vantage point, making it a must-visit for tourists seeking breathtaking landscapes and memorable experiences. What makes this Miradouro special is that it sits at one of the highest natural points in the old city, giving you a direct line of sight over rooftops of the Ribeira and the Douro. The viewpoint is woven into the ancient street grid around the cathedral, so the walk there feels like stepping through centuries of Porto's evolution. Unlike the big, crowded Miradouros, this one feels quiet, local, and authentic. Rua das Flores is a perfect microcosm of Porto's identity. From medieval roots to 16th century aristocracy to 19th century commerce to 21st century revival. It's a street where Porto's heritage, craftsmanship, and urban reinvention meet. The street is architecturally rich, culturally vibrant, and strategically located between the city's historic and civic cores. From the Miradoro, you will see the Esse do Porto rising behind you, the cascade of medieval houses dropping towards the river, the Dom Luis I bridge framed between the rooftops, and the layers of stone, tile, and narrow alleys that define Porto's identity. Miradoro da Rua das Aldas is less about the grand panorama and more about the immersive urban storytelling, a place where you can feel the city's age, its resilience, and its vertical drama. Explore Esse do Porto, the historic Cathedral of Porto, an ancient monument. Climb the tower for unbeatable panoramic views of the Douro River and Porto Center. Then marvel at the azulejo walls in the cloister depicting religious scenes. Experience the magic of this architectural gem in the city of Porto. Use my link to get admission tickets to the Porto Cathedral. Experience Porto like never before with a package that includes entry to the Clerigos Tower, Porto Cathedral, and the Six Bridges cruise on the Douro River. As a personal gift, you get 10% off your next 5 bookings in Porto by getting the Porto Highlights Pass through Tiqets. The historic center is where Porto evolved from a fortified medieval city to a mercantile powerhouse. According to travel guides, it's the first place visitors must go because it captures the city's essence, with its cobbled alleys, medieval houses, riverfront arcades, and iconic monuments like the Esse Cathedral, Salvento Station, and Clerigos Tower. The entire historic center, from the Esse hilltop to the Ribeira waterfront, is recognized by UNESCO for its medieval street plan, layered architecture, and cultural community. You're walking through a living museum where Romanesque, Gothic, Baroque, and Neoclassical eras overlap in a tight, dramatic topography. The charm of downtown Porto comes from wandering its narrow medieval lanes, steep stairways, tiled facades, hidden viewpoints, and riverside terraces. The area is described as the postcard par excellence of Porto. You visit downtown Porto because it's beautiful, ancient, authentic, walkable, culturally dense, architecturally layered, and emotionally unforgettable. It's the perfect stage for the kind of resilience and renovation overlays you love to build. In my next vlog, I'll be visiting the Bohol area and Rua de Santa Catarina.